I would add 3 things to that list too, and you can tell me if you think you agree with these. One is a focus on, and by the way, I thought the Walter Isaacson book, it got kind of a mixed reception, but I thought if you want to study the Elon method a bit, it was actually pretty useful for that. And so the recent biography. One is picking sensible metrics for the business at any one moment in time. And so, with SpaceX, as they were kind of building up the launch business, dollars per kilo to orbit being the metric that we're going to optimize for. Like, that's not totally obvious that it falls out. Even kind of Tesla, as they're ramping up production, it's like deliveries per week. You could have focused on revenue, you could have focused on profitability, you could have focused on deliveries per year, like the number of deliveries per week. Rolling off the factory line is itself an interesting choice of like high-level metric. So a big focus on, I think there's a lot of this in Twitter as well when he took it over, focus on kind of what are the right metrics that we should be, and like some of the criticism that's been levied at X is their focus on engagement minutes on the site has led to things like the ban on URLs, which I think a lot of people think is, not the deboosting of URLs, which a lot of people think is pretty silly. Okay, so one is choosing the right metrics. The second is creating a sense of urgency. And people talk about this as like inventing crises, but I would say the generous version is shortening the time horizons. And so it's funny, like Elon was going around talking about when he was sleeping on the floor of the factory in Nevada for Tesla that Tesla will go bankrupt if we don't do this, and if we don't figure out Model 3 production. Tesla was a $200 billion company by market cap at that time. So it's like Tesla will go bankrupt or do a very non-dilutive equity raise, but creating a lot of urgency around this idea of fixing production and sleeping on the factory floor, which clearly shortens the timeline. And then the third is actually, the businesses are really capital efficient. So I'm curious if you see this with hardware companies. I think sometimes hardware companies can be really indulgent with capital, where they say, venture capitalists will fund my vision of exploration for 5 or 10 years. And this is like the risk now as people get into robotics and stuff like this, that you get the self-indulgence. And it's like, I will do my science project for ages, and then I'll maybe figure out a product and figure out how to commercialize it.
So the other thing hardware founders do is they fall in love with the hardware and the product.
Yes.
And they can almost get in, sort of redefine themselves as like producers of science or beauty or product and sort of forget they're running a business, or even worse, start to think of running the business as slightly sort of unpleasant beneath
exactly.
them.
Yeah.
And maybe even not sort of intellectual enough.
Right. And so Elon's companies have always been very capital efficient and like build a bad one and then build a good one. And so the Boring Company bought a commercial tunnel boring machine before they started developing their own. Tesla had the master plan where they build the low volume roadster before they get to the high volume stuff. SpaceX, just for what they do, has never actually burnt that much capital lifetime and got grant money. They got, they were selling to the DoD, all this kind of stuff. And so, would you agree with those 3? And do you think people